Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Wild and the Whites podcast. Alright, so we got a special episode today with a very special guest. Because something pretty cool happened today. And no, it doesn't involve Tyler.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I thought you were talking about me.
What happened today? Well, actually, Tyler, why don't you introduce our special guest first?
Do you want to say hi?
Yeah, you.
Oh, you want me to introduce you? All right. This is my 11-year-old son, Riley. Wave to the camera. Hi. Riley had a good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all did.
We
had a
all
great
did.
morning. Yeah, it was a great morning.
Yep. Thanks to Riley's shooting.
I don't know. He took 2 shots.
Well,
I'm sure you'll get into it, but
we'll get into it.
I mean, I
but
would have done it in 1 shot, but I'm just saying.
in many ways, the second shot's more impressive
True.
because it does take a lot to compose yourself after that first shot. So,
True.
Because we've all been there on a miss, and then that release of adrenaline, and you're shaking, and you're just trying to get it back on target.
Right.
So
Right.
I commend you for being able to do that, because that's
I
not
know,
easy.
especially too, and we'll talk about it, I'm sure, but like leaning on my leg.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, you want to start at the beginning, I guess, and we'll tell the story?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, obviously, this is youth weekend. We're
Correct.
sitting here. It's April 26th, and this is youth weekend. So, we've kind of had this plan of going out this weekend for a little while, and you and I talked yesterday about a game plan of basically dividing and conquering, trying to roost some birds.
Right.
So we both went out last night,
Correct.
and we both found some birds, but the spot that I happened to find just happened to seem a little bit more promising.
Far more promising. I found 1 single Jake and a whole lot of hens, and that was all I could come up with.
Yeah, but that happens.
Yeah, and then I get a text from you that says, well, I got at least 2 gobblers over here. There might be 3. I think there's 2 or 3 behind me. Oh, wait, some more just sounded off over to my left. I'm surrounded.
I was giving you just like play-by-play updates as I was experiencing
Yeah,
it.
and I'm pretty sure my reaction was, hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, even today, after seeing everything and hearing everything that we saw, we're guessing there were about 10 gobblers within like a 250-yard radius of us.
Yeah.
So it was just happened to be a good spot. It just happened to be they were right there, and I happened to go in there at that time to roost them. So,
Yeah.
because that wasn't the first spot that I checked either, and I
Right.
completely struck out at a different spot too. So, so I went back last night after dark, about like 9 o'clock, 9:30 last night, and I set up the blind, got it all set up, put a little decoy out. So then that way, because it was going to be pouring rain today.
Right, and I'm glad you did.
Yeah. I think we all are. So yeah, I set up that blind so then we could just sneak right into it in the morning and we could stay relatively dry.
Yeah, I think we did pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, a little wet, but
I mean, the
it was
blind...
downpouring.
Yeah, the blind definitely has seen some use and is no longer completely watertight, but it definitely was better than just sitting in the rain, because we spent maybe 20 minutes actually out in the rain taking pictures and dealing with the bird afterwards, and
then we were
soaked. So I can't imagine a few hours like that, and with the camera equipment,
Right.
which is the plus side of this, we got it on video, right?
That's right.
So I got to get to my editing fingers and see if we can pull up a good video of this and post it up so everybody can watch it. So yeah, then I came home, went to bed, we woke up, met up this morning at about 4 o'clock,
Yep.
and take it away from there.
You want me? All right. Mr. Shy over here. Yeah, I got up early. Somebody had a hard time getting out of bed.
I woke up 15 minutes after you.
All right, that wasn't too bad, but there was a lot of like mumbling, and I'm pretty sure you were half asleep while you were talking to me, and then you got in the truck and you were like out. So yeah, we zoomed down. I think we left the house at 3:45 probably, somewhere in that area.
Okay.
And we zoomed down, met you, yeah, we pulled in. You're like, all right, I got this spot, everything's set up, let's roll. So we followed you up in, and I just remember we get there and I'm like, this isn't that bad. It's like barely misting, if anything. I don't even know if it really was, to be honest with you.
Right.
It wasn't
Right.
really wet, so I was like, this is going to be good. And we grabbed our stuff. We had some chairs. You already had a chair up there.
Mhm.
He grabbed his gun. We grabbed the camera stuff, and we kind of boogied up in. I think we got up into there pretty early, well before daylight, so that was
Oh,
good
yeah.
because I think we needed some time to get like settled in, get
Yep.
the camera set up, make sure he was squared away.
Yep.
And then right when we got up, it started raining.
Oh, that's yep. And then right when we got in there, it started raining. So thank God you had that blind set up. It was a little snug with 3 of us, but it worked.
It did work.
It worked pretty good, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah. And for never having done it before,
Yeah.
the way that we like split up and sat in different spots
Right.
seemed to work really well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the only thing I was praying the whole time was if birds did come, they didn't like come from behind, and then
Yeah.
we were like total chaos trying
that
to do
would
something.
that would have been nuts.
Yeah. So we got set up in there, and Rye was kind of in the front. You and I were kind of like off to the backs of each side of him. Right. You got the camera stuff set up. We got situated. And then I think at that point is when you could probably put the picture in here is when somebody took a nap.
I can throw that in.
He was tired. Yeah. So yeah, a couple times he snoozed for a little bit, but I think if I remember right, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had like maybe 1 or 2 gobbles like early on. We were like, okay, good.
Yeah.
And then it was a long time of nothing but pouring rain and nothing.
Yeah, I want to say it was like 5:45.
Yeah.
Like it was probably like right at that. Well, maybe a little later than that. Maybe
Yeah.
around 6.
Yeah.
So like we were in the blind for maybe 45 minutes or so.
Yeah. Right.
Not in the blind, but in shooting light, I should say, for about 45 minutes or so.
Right. And I think one of the ones we heard wasn't even from the birds that ended up coming in. It was behind us.
Yeah, definitely.
Which were definitely different birds.
Yeah. So we definitely heard some gobbles, and we did hear one from, I think it was one of the jakes that sounded off in front of us.
Yeah.
And then it started just straight downpour.
Right.
And we were deer hunting turkeys at that point.
Yeah. I just kept thinking to myself, all right, how long are we going to stick this out? I didn't bring any food. I didn't bring anything other than a flat Pepsi. I'm sitting there going, what can I do? You were staying pretty good with the camera. He was out cold.
Passing time. He was just passing the time.
What did you do at one point? At one point, you disappeared. What did you do?
I went in my shirt and fell asleep.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a turtle. Like I'm pretty certain it was something like this. Your hands were in your shirt, and your head was like down in your shirt like that. Yeah. And he was gone. There you go.
Yep, just like that.
Just like that. So as you can imagine, if something happened, he was ready for it. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
A couple hours later.
Right? Seriously. So you were all cocooned up, nice and warm.
Yeah.
And there was one time, though, that we did hear something that we thought, and you almost woke them up, but then we were like, well, let's just wait for a little bit.
Right.
And you did do some box calling for a little bit, and we got zero response on that.
Yeah, nothing.
But, like, basically, if there was, like, a slight lull in the rain where we could actually hear over the pounding rain on the blind, we would try to do something.
Yeah.
You did do some fantastic crow calling at one point.
Yeah, the call fell apart a little bit. It was all right. It worked.
Which still, apparently, it still worked.
That's what brought him in. I think that's what brought him in. These birds must have been 1,000 yards away, and they heard that, and they were coming.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't.
They were so curious as to what that noise was.
Yeah, like was that like a dying eagle, pterodactyl, or something?
So then, so we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, you hit some very loud calls with a mouth call.
Yeah, I think we were just in desperation mode. We were like, there's nothing here. There's nothing making noise.
There was a lull in the rain, so we're like, okay.
We're like, let's just sound off hard and aggressive and see if anything happens.
Right. because we didn't know where they were at that point. We had kind of half assumed that they had pitched down and they had moved somewhere.
Right. I was thinking they like were either way up the mountain or these birds like went a different like left or right direction.
Yep.
Because I was like, well, you heard a ton last night. They can't be that far. They have to be in this area, especially with the rain. They're not moving. I don't think they're going to move that much, but maybe.
And at one point, I looked at you and I was like, I don't even know if they're on the ground because like how are we not seeing movement if they're not on the ground?
Right. The way you got in there and had us set up, I figured anything that flew down, at some point we were going to see one of these birds.
Right.
Once they hit the ground.
Yeah.
And we didn't for hours.
So now we were at like 7:30 in the morning.
Yep.
You hit that call and like 10 minutes goes by.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you look at me and I didn't hear it, but you're like, there was a gobble over here.
Yeah, and it was closer. It was definitely, I remember thinking to myself, whoa, that was actually pretty darn close compared to what we had heard earlier. You good?
Yeah.
No, you tapped me. Yeah, so I was like, I know it was in this direction. I know it was louder than the first couple, so like maybe this is promising. And then I think right after that, there was another one.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one that was different. I'm like, maybe there's two birds there.
And then another one.
And then there was another one. And then I think it's somewhere in that vicinity is when we were like, hey,
That's when you woke them
hey,
up. Yeah.
come out of your shell, turtle. And your head like popped up, and your arms came out or something. And then we could tell they were coming because
And then
it
all
was,
hell broke
because then it
loose.
was just gobble, 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 and we could tell they were moving in our direction.
Yep.
Five
And
of
then,
them.
and then that's when we spotted them on the hill.
Yep.
We're like, okay, game on.
All 5 of them.
5 of
Yep.
them.
Yep.
I thought there were 2 at first. You couldn't see them. You couldn't see them. You were off to the right, and there was a tree blocking your view. But I'm looking at them, going, "There they are. Here they come."
You're like, one's
I'm
strutting,
like, one's strutting.
running. I'm like,
Yeah.
how do I not? It's an open cut. How do I not see this?
And then I remember just saying, "What the hell? Oh, there's one to the. There's 3. There's 3 of them. Okay, cool." And then they're coming, and you're still. I think you were still looking. I'm like, wait. There's 4 of them. There's another one.
I literally had to like move and put my head where your head was.
I'm pretty sure at one point your hat, the brim of your hat, was touching my forehead, and I was pointing like
And I'm
this,
like,
and
"Oh!"
you were looking.
And meanwhile, you both are like, oh yeah, there's another one. There's another one.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
I need to go to the eye doctor.
Right,
apparently.
something's up. Yeah. And then, so then it worked. Then it was like, what do we do now? So I think at that point was we were like, oh shit, his gun's not even ready. Like, get the gun up, make sure the red dot was on, get it situated in the blind for him. And we had put it out the front where we were hoping everything was going to happen.
Yep.
And then as they were continuing down the hill, there's like this little bit of a dip before they kind of come up to like plateau where we were. And I just remember looking at all of the different birds, and I'm like, okay, the one on the far left looks like the biggest bird. But the downfall was he was also the farthest, and he was going this way, or the other one seemed to be coming a little closer to us.
He seemed to be just like going right downhill down that drainage, and the other ones were more like coming towards us instead of following the topography.
Right. And that's why I was kind of like, oh boy, what do we do? Because I wanted him to try to shoot the biggest bird, but I was like, we had talked about this earlier. The shotgun he was using today is a 410 with no choke, and I know that it's not very well patterned at far distances. So I'm like, I don't really want him shooting terribly far. Do you want to take it away from there? You want us to keep talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like answering, not
Okay, we'll ask you a question in a second. All right. We'll figure out something to ask you.
Oh, God.
So what were you thinking then?
Yeah, exactly. What was running through your mind? So here they come, right? And at this point, I remember thinking, okay, that one's going to the left, and I'm watching him because I had a little bit of a higher view than he did, and I could see his head coming up, but like going left. And I just remember thinking, oh shit, his gun. So I was like, give me your gun. So we like got his gun, brought it back in the blind, got it out this window, and then
First, we have that window.
yeah, right. We were out here, yeah, and then we got it moved and went out here, and then as he's starting to get situated, and hopefully you see this on camera, I'm not sure. All of a sudden, his chair tips over, and I was like, "Oh no, this isn't gonna be good." So I had my leg like out, and he fell into my leg, and I'm trying to hold him with my leg, and now the turkey's coming up into the opening, and I'm like, "Crap, here we go." And then so the one that he shot, so the bigger of the birds was kind of coming up this kind of heading to our left. The other ones were kind of coming up a little bit more in front of us, but still heading to our left. And now he's got the gun out, red dot's on. He's trying to get situated. He was a little nervous, I think. I'm trying.
I was cold.
You were
too.
cold too.
Yeah, that
Yep.
too.
You did
Yep.
say that you were cold.
Shaking bad.
And I'm trying to hold him, so I got one hand like on his back. I got one hand holding like the front stock of the gun, trying to help him, which turned out wasn't what you
Yeah, what
wanted.
did you say?
I said, "Stop it now."
Yeah. I'm like sitting there thinking to myself, I'm trying to help, and he's like yelling at me to let go, basically. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And turns
Like I'm
out,
trying to point it in the right direction.
yeah,
Dad.
turns out afterwards he told me that I was pushing it too much, so he couldn't. He was trying to aim at the turkey's head, and I kept pushing it away. And he's like basically yelling at me to stop. So, then what happened? I let go.
And then I shot
You're
the
aiming.
bird.
You shot. What happened when you shot the first time?
I
Let us know.
Um,
Did you feel like it was a good shot? You think you had a good shot? Or you think you might have moved a little bit? Do you know?
I think it moved a little bit when I shot,
Yeah.
so only a couple pellets hit it.
Yeah.
The first one.
I think you're right.
Yep.
I think you're right, and you'll see it in the video. But
I think the dot might have been
he
a little off.
he kind of like jumps and runs a few steps and then stops, and his head, I watched it, he like kind of like sunk down. It almost looked like he was hurt but didn't really know what was going on, kind of.
Yep.
I don't know if you thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that point was chaos. I almost only put one shell in the gun. I almost only did that. And then I was like, I'll put two in. So he shoots, and that happened. And the bird, like I said, kind of popped a little bit, ran a couple feet, stopped, head sunk down, and then he kind of turned, and he starts walking slowly back.
Yep.
And I'm like, crap. So I don't even remember if I did it quietly or what I did, but I was like, give me the gun. So I took the gun from him, safety, racked around, and then gave it back to him.
Yep.
And he gets it back out the window. And at this point now, the bird's walking back, but kind of away from us, so he's gaining a little bit of distance as well. And I remember saying to you, like, hurry up, get on him, get on him, get on him, get on him. I just kept saying something like that. And then at one point, I had this thought. And it was a terrible idea, but I had this thought because as I'm looking at that bird, and I'm looking at you, I turn, and those other ones are like way closer in front of us, and I was like, should we shoot one of them? And then I was like, no, we can't do that. First of all, he's a bigger bird, but second of all, I'm pretty sure you injured him, and we need to need to go.
Let's be fair. In that moment, we weren't sure where that first shot went.
No
I probably
idea.
had the best look at it because I was through the camera and
Yeah.
I saw like mist come across his back.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really certain either. So
Yeah.
from your guys' standpoint, I'm sure you had no idea.
I
if you hit
had
him
no
or not.
idea what happened.
Yeah.
I actually, when the shot went off, I wasn't. Right when he shot was when I had started to look back at him from like looking at the bird. So when he shot, it was like a second or two of reaction time before I turned and saw the bird kind of do his thing. So I had no idea where I couldn't see anything that happened.
Yeah.
But it just looked weird. Like he looked like he. Sometimes when you've shot at a turkey and missed, sometimes they fly, sometimes they run, sometimes they just stand there and they're kind of heads up looking around. They're like nervous, He just looked different. Like I said, he kind of did his thing for a second and his head like kind of sunk down and
Yeah.
I don't know, it was weird. I was kind of like, I feel like you nicked him or did something. You did enough to hurt him, I think.
Yeah, he wasn't feeling good.
No, and
Yeah.
he didn't run off. He just slowly started creeping away. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we get the
It
gun
almost
racked.
looked like when you like gut shot a deer.
Yeah.
And they're just like really just sore and they're
Yeah.
like hunched over as they're
Yeah.
going away. Like that's what it reminded me of, honestly.
Right. Because then I thought maybe he shot it like, winged him or like you said, hit him somewhere in the, the abdominal area or something. But when we scun him out, there wasn't a single pellet, legs or belly.
Nice.
So I don't know if he went high and maybe he hit him somewhere in the neck that just kind of like not a lethal hit, but like did something to him.
Yeah, where the mist was like in the like where the neck skin starts meeting the feathers. It seemed like to me. So
anyways, so now he's got the gun back. He's reloaded. Trying to get him situated to find the turkey now. He's trying to find the turkey. I'm throwing other ideas out about maybe shoot one of these turkeys. And it was quick. I don't remember who said it or if I said it, but it was like, no, never mind. Just shoot that turkey.
Yeah, you said it.
Yeah, stay on the same turkey.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. And I had the urge to try to hold the gun for you again, but I was like, nope, I'm not getting in his way. But it just looked so uncomfortable because you were literally leaning like this, and the gun's like tipped, and you're like, I'm like, there's no way he's gonna get this bird,
right?
Not with this situation. And you did. I kept saying to you, I think, like, hey, whenever you're on him, as soon as you're on his head, right? And I don't remember what you said, but then boom, you squeezed off, and he just flopped.
Yeah.
And then we were pumped after that.
Like I kept watching him moving from left to right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just stop. And then finally he stopped and stood there for a second. I'm like, there you go.
That's when I shot him.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I know that you're doing your trigger press, and I'm like, come on, let's go. I'm just waiting for the gun to go off. So you can see it in the video, or you can hear it in my voice in the video when it goes off. I'm just like, I was so happy.
You could hear it because when we got home, I showed Jess the footage on the camera, and she was like, that sounded like something out of a movie or something. What did she say? There was something she said about your like yell
I think
afterwards.
she said it was out of a movie,
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
but I was just like so tense, and I'm shaking too at this point, so I'm trying to hold the camera steady.
I know, and I wanted, like you said, he kept following the bird, and the bird's still moving and moving. Right. I'm like, you got to shoot at some point.
I know, but I'm like, it's a moving shot.
And I'm watching his finger too, and I'm like, I just wanted to be like, like scare him, so he just squeezes the trigger.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. We didn't talk about this, and I don't know if you even noticed it, but I saw it when we played it back after. When he shot the first time, that turkey gobbled.
Really?
Watch the video. He gobbles, and then Riley shoots right after he gobbles.
Yeah. Before. I thought you meant after.
The first shot.
No, I do remember that.
The first shot. I somehow missed that whole interaction. I didn't see it until after the video was...
Well, I was living life through that TV stream, so I'm just... Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It would have been awesome if that first shot was like a huge connect, because it would have just been like, boom. You know what I mean? Like,
right. So anyway, you shoot, and then what happens? The second time.
After you shot.
He like jumped and just went.
Started flopping, right? And at that point, you got him. Well, we were nervous because all of a sudden he stood up again. I'm like, oh, are you kidding me?
He stood up and
I'm like, let's put one more round in the gun and let's go out there and make sure he doesn't get away.
Right.
And he didn't. He didn't get away.
He stepped on his neck.
Yeah, I had to help. I assisted him.
But like with the amount of pellets that you had in that thing's head, it was dead. It just didn't know it.
Yeah, when I got over to him and I started just kind of putting some weight on him, and he turned, I looked at the side of his head and I was like, yeah, he doesn't have long. We could just walk away and he'll lay here for a minute or two, and yeah, he was just covered. The second shot, you definitely wailed him. Mm-hmm.
There probably wasn't a lot of consciousness. It was just like his whole neurological system just doing what it's supposed to do without really knowing why.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But I was impressed because, like I said, when we got home, I breasted them all out, and they went to Anatomy Town on him.
It was fun.
Yeah, I've never seen a turkey's liver, heart, and trachea before, but we saw that. There wasn't a single pellet in its breast and its legs anywhere. So I was like going through, I'm like, boy, that first shot must have been high and back, like you said, and he maybe just kind of grazed his neck or back here somewhere. Yep. And then the second shot must have been all up here because there was not a pellet anywhere or any sort of sign of anything hitting anywhere.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was actually pretty good.
So all the meat is like perfect.
Oh yeah, we got it all out. Great.
Awesome. What are you doing with the meat?
Mom's gonna cook it tonight.
Nice.
Right? She had a bowl. I thought she said she was going to make it for dinner. What did you do with some of the other parts? Tell him that.
Well, we gave
my father.
We gave the legs, the heart, I just put the kidneys in and then the liver, and we gave it to our grandpa. And then the rest of the parts, I just started dissecting.
Nice.
And it was fun.
Yeah.
I was like cutting them all up, trying to cut through its chest. At one point, it cut through my glove. One
Yeah.
of the bones.
Yeah, my father is the type of guy that will eat everything from any animal.
Sweet.
So Riley wanted to play around, and he's like, "Oh, let's see if he calls his name is they call him Umpa. Let's see if Umpa wants a turkey heart and turkey this." So he calls him on my phone, and he's like, "Yeah, sure." So Riley took all of it out, put it in a bowl, and they brought it to him.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Breakfast was good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we went to breakfast after.
Oh,
We
yeah.
forgot about that.
How did we forget that?
What else?
The
Right.
celebratory breakfast.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we were still out at a decent time. It felt like forever, but
We
it was
parked at,
7:45 when he shot.
We
Yeah.
could stay however long we wanted. The soccer game was canceled. We could have
Yeah.
stayed in if we
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yep, that's right.
I mean, we were eating breakfast by 9 a.m.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out good because the original plan was that he had a soccer game today, and we were going to have to be out of the woods and on the road by 10.
yep.
My game would already be over by
And
now.
we didn't even need to do that, right?
Nope. We left at like 8. Or we got at the trucks around 8.
What do you think? You've killed a couple turkeys now.
Third one.
Are you hooked? You like it?
No.
No? What am I forcing you to do this?
That's why
Other
you
than-
slept the whole
Other
time.
than getting you out of bed, you're the one that wants to do this. Now you still have one more tag.
What do you mean?
You still have another tag. You can shoot another one. We just got to go to a certain area.
Hopefully picking 22. I gotta beat that.
Oh yeah, he's all worried about beating him. I'm like,
I got 22 2 years ago, except this year I got 21.
right?
Like
yeah,
my
just
first
under.
year.
Yep. Yeah.
Except it was a suitcase. It was a suitcase.
Hey,
Where?
don't hit me with that. Suitcase? What are you talking about?
Mom said it was for weighing suitcases.
Oh, the scale we used. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I couldn't find my regular scale, so she used the one that she has for suitcases.
sweet.
I mean, it seemed like it worked. Yeah.
So I could have got bigger, but
You could have just pulled on it while I was holding it.
at the time.
Well, did you let it dry out first, or?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it was still a little wet. So we gave him a few extra ounces. It's all right. And it was
Yep.
still a good bird, and it was bigger than any I ever shot at your age. That's for sure.
Mm.
These are big.
Yeah, it was a decent sized bird.
So we got to go down to.
Madison Henry kept ripping and opening his mouth.
Yeah, they might have cut his head off.
Oh yeah, I chopped his head off.
Well, all for anatomy, right? It's a science class.
It was.
Soon he gets to go and do that to a real human.
Yeah. We'll
Oh,
keep that
yeah.
on the lowdown.
Lucky.
We'll keep that on the low.
Anyways.
Dexter over here.
Yeah.
So we get to go down to southern New Hampshire now,
Yep.
or
that's
at
right.
least down to like the Lakes region.
Yeah. That's what we gotta do. The problem is I don't know any spots, so we gotta find some property and do some looking around.
I've got a couple in mind, but my worry is that they're popular. So there's going to be a lot of people.
Yeah, that's the downfall to places like that. I feel like, because I don't know if you ever go on some of those Facebook groups, but people are always going on about I showed up and some other guy showed up and then another guy showed up, and people
Right.
are like competing for the same bird, and I don't want to do that.
No, I don't either. But I do know some places that are a lot more private down there, but they're a lot further south than just the Lakes region.
Yeah.
We'll have to drive a lot further.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
down in my home area where I grew up, I know of spots and private land that no one else really hunts and stuff like that. That we
yeah,
can
that'd be
get on.
awesome. I'm down.
But bottom line is today was a success, and that's what
Right.
we got to. Yeah, that was good.
What do you say to Zach for finding the spot and letting us come with him?
For the 80th time.
Yep, say it
Somewhere
again.
around there.
Hey,
It's my pleasure, man. I was just happy to be along. It was a really good morning. So thank you guys for letting me tag along and let me film the whole thing, because
Yeah.
that was a good experience for
hopefully
me too.
this is the start of the season and we get a bunch more on video.
Right? And if not, hey, it's a success either way.
I think we will. We'll see, the season's coming up.
Yeah.
We're making plans to head to Vermont.
Mhm.
We're gonna go to Vermont, so I think that'll be good. What else? Hopefully we can get a few. What are you laughing at?
He whispered. He doesn't realize he whispered into the microphone.
No, I know I did.
Remember, he can hear everything you say.
I know.
Anyways. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
No.
else? Anything we're missing from the story? It was pretty good. Like we said earlier, it was a long morning, and it went from 0 to 100 in like,
Split second.
yeah, like nothing. We kind of think we're getting skunked. The weather's crappy. We're all cold and wet. To all of a sudden, 5 birds right in our face, like gobbling like crazy.
Right.
If it wasn't youth weekend, you both could have shot one.
Oh, we could have.
We
Yeah,
could have shot
absolutely.
all 5 of them.
Oh, we could have.
Yep.
And then one
Yeah.
of us would just have an extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. It I was really expecting to be sitting there and all of a sudden see birds that came in quiet and be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, they're right like deer, right?" Like,
That's
oh,
what I was
there it
thinking
is.
too, and I kept thinking to myself, you know what? Like, you knew there were some birds up on the hill somewhere. You knew there were birds kind of behind us somewhere. I kept thinking the same thing. All morning long, I'm like just kind of doing one of these, looking. I kept thinking to myself, I'm gonna see one kind of walking across that cut, or I'm gonna see one off to the right that just magically showed up
Right.
from behind somewhere.
Right.
You know, that's what I was thinking the whole time. And to then all of a sudden, oh, gobble, ooh, gobble, more gobbles.
I was
A lot of
not
gobbles.
expecting that type
Yeah,
of
it just
like
they just started going
in
nuts.
pouring rain. When do you hear vocalizations like that?
Yeah, they were
That was
full on.
wild.
They were just hammering,
Yeah.
and then they just all came like a train right to us. So it worked out good.
You're not joking. Like that's exactly how it was
Yeah.
too. It was
Yeah.
very fast.
Yeah,
They all
and then
just
even
came
when we were
charging right
leaving,
in.
we saw some more birds on the way out. So there
Yep.
was definitely birds on the ground in that area. It's just what the hell happened before they got to us, I have no idea. Whether they were still in the tree.
I honestly think that that's the highest likelihood is that they stayed in the tree really long.
Yeah, they were like,
And then
screw
finally
this.
we're just
Decided
like-
they wanted to go down. Yeah, 'Cause
Henry
it was-
Madison knew they could, if they could hunt, they could have shot one too.
Yeah, they could
Yeah.
have. That's right. Yeah,
But
it
they
was.
like to stay home and sleep.
They like to sleep. Yeah,
I do too, but
yeah. Yeah, it was bizarre.
Yeah. I think that they were still up in the tree, and I think that slight lull in the rain combined with your calling just convinced them enough to get out, and
Go do
that
something.
coupled with the fact of like I did some light calling when
Yeah.
in that spot the night before, so like everything kind of made sense to them
Right.
for there to be a hen there.
Right.
I think it all just kind of lined up.
Yeah, because they came right to us. It wasn't like they, we saw them coming down the hill and they went way right or
No.
way left. They literally came
On a string.
They came right down, right up, and then kind of just slightly came to our left side.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
But think about it too, like with the way that the blind is set up and the way you were calling with your hand up in front of your mouth,
Yeah.
off to the left. This sound of your calling was reverberating
direction.
that way that they
Yeah.
came running to.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they came on a string to where you were calling.
yeah. I mean, it all worked, right? It all worked.
To. Sometimes it just works like that. Just
Yeah.
all comes together, and you just gotta sit there and be patient and wait it out.
That was what we talked about. It's like, hey, shows you right there patience. Because I mean, if we decided we were cold and said screw this, we're just gonna leave. There were 10 birds that were around us that were all within probably less than 200 yards. We just didn't know where they were. We just
Right.
didn't know, but they were there. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, a couple times I was convinced he was going to say to me, "Can we just go now? Can we just go now?" And I wasn't going to argue with him. Like, yeah, whatever. We're soaked. It's cold.
Right.
Let's just go.
Right.
But you didn't. You just kind of tucked in your
oh,
shell.
I was just sleeping.
Yeah, I
was
know.
just sleeping.
Yeah, what did you say to me? At one point, I woke you up and you said something. You said, oh, darn, I was just getting to the best part of my dream.
Oh yeah, I was.
That's what it was. You're like, I was just getting to the best part of my
I forget
dream.
what I was dreaming about, but it was something good.
Maybe it was turkey hunting.
I think that was actually during those first gobbles.
Yeah,
Maybe I-
something.
You're like, they're
Maybe I
starting to
was
wake up. Like,
predicting
that.
the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I just remember you saying that and I was like, oh my God.
well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It was a good
Cool.
morning.
Yeah, it was
Real
awesome.
good morning.
Very good, very good, very good. And I think it'd be cool once you do your little editing, get the video all set
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I'll spend some time on this one. It's not going to go up super fast. I'll spend some time on it to make it real nice. So.
Yeah, oh, we forgot to mention you had another angle, right? You had the camera behind us.
So I was holding your camcorder, but then I also had the the little action cam behind
Yeah.
us that got a good view of the inside.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
We can get different angles, and you can see the reaction of everything inside the blind. And
I meant to tell you too. I'm impressed with those microphones, but I didn't think about it. But when you stayed in the blind after the shot and we walked down to the bird, all of that was still going, and the
Yep.
microphone was crystal clear. I didn't know that
Yep.
it would go that far. I figured you had to be really close.
yep,
So what? Probably 30 yards or so, whatever it was. It was crystal clear, and
That's
I'm sure it
awesome.
could have gone further. So that's good to know for like other scenarios if we're kind of split up from each other. Or,
Yep.
you know, whoever's hunting, whoever's filming.
No way there. You tried
Those-
to make me say gobble gobble
Gobble gobble. That's right.
in the car ride.
Well, you didn't do it.
He was trying to film an intro, but I'm too tired.
Yeah, he just says, "I'm out. Peace out. I'm out."
Oh, the only thing that messed up, mechanically wise, is the video that I shot of you guys when you pulled in has zero audio on it, and I think that it's because my Bluetooth was connected to my truck because my
Oh.
truck was on.
yeah.
So it's just you. And then looking at him, and
There
then
you
giving
go.
another thumbs
Perfect.
up, and then leave it.
Perfect. Maybe just play some music during that, or some gobbles.
Some go, yeah. So I'll probably shorten that video to just you pulling up and a thumbs up, and then us. But no, it was fun. I had a blast.
I'd
So-
say a good start to the season.
Yeah.
First day out actually hunting.
Yep.
Now
know,
you
and
guys
we
gotta
connected.
get one.
Oh, don't
And
worry,
I
we
gotta
will.
get my second.
Oh, don't worry, we will.
First hunt
sure?
of 2025.
That's right.
First time out.
And if
So
this all goes according to plan, we'll have a lot of them on video.
hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
All
Like
right.
he said.
Cool.
What else do you want to tell? Anything? Anything at
don't
all?
have
Any
anything.
thoughts? Anything you liked?
I don't have anything.
Nothing.
No.
Are you pumped? You happy? You tired?
Not really right now.
All right. I'm tired.
I'm very tired.
I'm ready for a nap. So,
Cool.
yeah, man. Thanks again for bringing us out there and doing all the hard work. Like I said, you went out, found those birds. You went back, put up a blind in the middle of the night. So,
But you know me, I live for this stuff. I'm obsessed with it. So this is all fun for me. This
Yeah.
isn't like I appreciate the thanks, but I just love doing this,
that's
and
exactly
I love doing it for
how
you
I feel
guys.
too.
So
Because like every time I bring other people hunting and they get something, it's like yes, like,
it's amazing,
Yeah.
man. I love the fact that you got a bird like that,
Yeah.
and that I was able to be there and
Yeah.
and experience that with you guys was phenomenal.
Hopefully I
So
can get a fifth. There hasn't been a season yet where I've got two.
well,
Not
maybe
yet.
maybe it'll be this year.
all right,
Hopefully.
All right, let's try.
that's a good goal. We got a whole month to do it.
Yeah, you
so
still got plenty of time. Stop whacking my arm with it.
it's all right.
I
They're
can
not
hear everything.
expensive. But all right. Anything else, or you sure? This won't be your last time on the podcast. I can guarantee you that.
Anything?
No?
All right.
All right.
All right.
Nothing.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next episode.